you could see there are three circles. One is family, ownership, and the business. Okay, it's a, this is how it works. And also you could see there is a overlapping of the circles on one another, and it has meaning. Okay, when you look at the first one, okay, the first the space, you look at, it's not a overlapping space which I'm talking about, like 4 7 6 5. No, I'm not talking about that numbers, those numbers. I'm talking about 1 2 3 now. So you look at the first one, family. Okay, there is a three circles. It's done as a three circle. One is family, one is ownership, one is business. See why this is, it has come now. You are aware that we were thinking that family business means something which is, family itself takes care of everything. Family members only own, they only manage, they take decisions, everything is in their hand. But things over the years have changed compared to what was there 150 200 years ago, 150 years. So as we have evolved over the years. So you could see there is a tremendous changes have happened in the way the present the business units function or managed or run. So look at the first one which talks about family. It says that family members not involved in the business, because it so shows that only in the business, on the left side you could see a circle called business, number 3, business. But family, that space is separate. It says that family members are not involved in the business, they are separate, they are not at all involved in the business. Those kind of businesses also are there now. Okay, even though it's those started by the family members, but the family members not involved now. Second, you look at the ownership. Okay, ownership shows that non-family or a business owners. Okay, ownership, who is owning the company? Usually not the family members, even though it's originated what, but family members are not owning that company. Some other people are owning the business, other people are owning the company, business owners. Third, you look at non-family employees. Okay, business, because business, as if you take it as a separate entity, it's separate. So what you see that non-family employees over there, family members are not working, they are not employed themselves in the business. So there are non-family members are working in that. Employees are non-family members. Fourth one, if you look at, there is overlapping of the on the family ownership. Okay, so you look at the fourth one. It says that family owners not working in the business. Okay, so it says that fourth one, family, is overlapping on the ownership. You could see that. Okay, so there is ownership which is there above the family. You could see that. Fourth one, it says that family owners not working in the business. So family members are the owners of the company, but they are not working in the company. They are just owners. Okay, so they, but not working in the company. So that meaning it tells you. Fifth, you look at, it is between business and the ownership. Okay, so that fifth space, you look at that, talks about non-family owners who work in the business. It says that not the family members who are, you know, other owners. Non-family members are the owners of the company. They are working in the business. Okay. Here, family members are not there. Here, non-family members who are the owners, because non-family members are the owners and they are working in the business. Fifth one. Sixth, you look at, it is between family and the business. Okay. The connection between family and business. So here, sixth one says about family members who work in the business but are not owners. Okay, this is something. Example, family members, but they are not owners of the business now. Okay, they are family members. They are develop their business. Okay, whatever. They are the family members, but they are not the owners. But they just work as an employees. So, but they work in the business. Okay, so that is that. So those kind. See why I'm. These are the kinds now. These are the kind of system how the family business runs today. These are the models. These are the type systems. So nowadays these companies are running. Don't think that though there is a origin of family business background. So once upon a time this business is started with the family and run by the family. But over the years what has happened is diluted. Okay, but now you look at the center. 7. Over there all three circles are you look at family, ownership, and business, all three, and that is a combination of three. Seventh one, in the center, you see family are the owners, family owners who work in the business. What do you see? Family members are the owners. Okay. And they are also working in the business. All three activities they are doing it. Family members are there. They are the owners. Ownership will rest with them. And also they are working in the business, fully involved. So that comes in the seven. But in remaining all, only two kinds you find, either family ownership, ownership business, business family, like that. Okay. So please be aware, things have changed over the years. It is not like that. Now we talk about like family business with only family members, they only take care of everything. Their members, family members only work. They are in the all the take care everything, decision, everything. Nobody, other people are, they won't allow outside people to be part of that. No, 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 things have changed. Okay, so we have seen a lot of examples, even though the family business, it's a family business, but still we find the heads and all, the company heads, everybody will be totally not related to the family at all, not related to anything. Somebody from the outside will be managing. Okay, so some family business which is like owned by the family, but not at all managed by them. They are just owners, but it's totally managed by other people. You find that those kind of changes, which is there now presently. Okay, let's discuss. This is one more. It's see same. Okay, please remember this is same with the explanation. This is it talks about in there only it's been written there. Here the sequence is different. You could see ownership comes top. It doesn't matter whether it's family, ownership, business, and family. Okay, this is one more just to make you to same. Okay, it's the same, but just to make you it's little more simplify to understand better. Look at that ownership. Non-family, non-manager owns owners. Okay, ownership is non-family members. Then you look at non-family employees in the business. Non-family employees are there. Then family members, but they are not the owners. But in you look at the family and the ownership combination, family owners are there. Family ownership in that. So then you look at the business and family employees. Okay. Then between ownership and business, you look at non-family owners. Okay, but employees. Okay, you could see the business and ownership. It's a non-family owners, and they are the employees. In the center, you could see family owner employees, all three. Okay, family owns the business, and they are the working there as a part of the business. Employees, all three. So rest all is only two. You know. So this is those who find it difficult to understand. Please follow this. Still, this is for you once again to understand better. Okay. So when we talk about this, let's not a model governance. I talk about like if the family. So how the three components of family works, usually how the family members, families run, or family business are run. And I'm not talking about this. So you look at like how they meet. Usually, family members meet periodically, like annually, or depend on company to company. They regularly meet all family members together and take decisions. They discuss how things need to be taken care, how we need to run the show of the business, what changes, everything. Assemblies. So that's a one kind of method which they follow. Second is family council meetings. Okay, for those families that benefit from a representative group of their members, doing planning, creating policies, and strengthening the business family communication and bond. So something is family. There is one more kind where family members come together. There is a family counseling meetings where family members or some cases the representative of the families, some other people, representatives for a particular family will be coming together, meeting together, they meet and they plan and they create policies and strengthen like we how we can have to build a business. Okay, and how to keep the family together with the proper communication and how to enhance the bond of the family, because we find that even in the families there are disputes. Okay, there are you know miscommunications, there are issues in every family. Okay, in that case it is very important that how the family stays together and how they keep the family together. Okay, so they have to enhance the bonding, that they have to keep on checking, because that's how you can survive. Because the moment there are the issues, there are moment there is a problem in the family, so it might break. Okay, the cordial relationship might spoil. So instead of to avoid that, okay, so that they want to keep the bond. So through the family council meetings, we can keep that. Then family constitution. Okay, so here the policies and guiding vision and values that regulate the members' relationship with the business. Here, many families will have their own policies. We talk it's a written document. It might be a shorter one, or it might be long, or detailed. Okay, but they keep a written document, and which says about all the rules and policies of the family members. It's like a family rules. How to run the business, who is responsible, what are the accountability, and what are the things they have to take care, how they need to work, what are the measures, a lot of things here. All rules and regulation policies has been prepared. It's a written document, and that will be it should be known by every family member who is part of the business, because unless you know the policy, then you'll not be aware that what you're supposed to do and how you need to behave, how you need to carry on business. So it's very important. All policies is a written document, and it will be made available to everyone, because it includes the vision and objectives of the family or a business. So they have to follow that. It includes certain values that need to follow, you know everything. So these are the three kinds through which the family meets together and keeps their bonding, and try to continue the legacy of the past family members when they incorporated the company, and they would like to carry on in a similar way. Okay, and obviously they take a right kind of decisions, they plan for the future of the company, they feel that they would like to take the business to the next level, manage well, and they control the things. Okay, see, that's the reason I said, no, these are the how they can govern that, how they can protect the family business, govern and run the show. Okay, please remember, this is to talk about how this family, family run businesses meet, govern. So how they control the business, how they run the business. So here, this is how it is done mainly. These are the three kinds, three methods through which family members meet, and they take decisions, they maintain their correlation, they communicate, and they have their own policy. Like in the family constitution, they have their own policies, set written documents. So this is how they, carry on. This is how they continue. Okay, this is governance structure of the family business system. Similarly, you could look at the ownership business and family. We discussed now. Okay, so based on that, your ownership is decided. You know that here. We discussed in the previous slides. Okay, look at the ownership. We have seen that there are family businesses which have been listed now, which become public companies. Okay, though the family, it's started 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago by the family. It's run by the family. But after some time, it has gone public. Though the major stake is held by the family owners, but it's a public limited company now. There are shareholders. Okay, now shareholders are there in that company. So what happens, like, shareholders are the owners. Not only you can consider family members are the owners of the company. No, now the shareholders are the owners of the company. So in that case, what happens? Okay, so they will be playing the role. They are the owners. Owners will be the shareholders. Then you look at the business, which is not might be a top management. Okay, so look at there is a top management. Okay, which is, you could see that center board of directors is there. Board of directors. Who are the board of directors? See, it's a business. It's a listed along. It's a public limited company. It's a business. Now there is a team which is running. Okay, the heads are there, CEOs are there. The team is there which is running the business, company. But on behalf of shareholders, okay, board of directors is a board of directors are appointed by the shareholders to represent the shareholders and see that they keep the business interest of the shareholders. Okay, so that top management is managing well. Okay, they're taking care, they're taking right kind of they are going in the right direction, they're taking right decisions, they're working towards the expansion of the business. Okay, they are managing well, so they keep an eye, you know they represent the whole shareholders, board of directors, because it's, you could see the ownership and top management, business ownership and business. Okay, there is a overlap. So over there in the center, you find board of directors. So shareholder, board of directors are representing the shareholders. Okay, and they will be looking at the management who are running the business. You look at the family on the left side. Family now, family circle. You look at. So it's only family. Okay, family is the running the. So how the family? So family council and family assemblies. Now we discussed in the previous slide, agree? So this is how the family meets. This is how regularly the take care of the business they discuss. So this is how why I'm talking. This is the ownership, the business and the family. So there are changes, the way that it has been, the business is run. Okay, so this is to just make you aware. Okay, next topic which deals with responsibilities and rights of a family shareholders. Okay, so here it talks of more on what are the responsibilities and what are the rights of the family shareholders. Okay, so those are the shareholders in the family business. What are their rights and what are the responsibilities? Okay, so I would say that it might be a major stake is held by the family members. Okay, there are many cases the major stake in the company is held by the family members. So how? Because they are also shareholder, they have holding a stake. And what are the responsibility and rights? Okay, so not that I'm a shareholder means you should not be aware about something. It's like he has the duties, he has the role to play. Okay, so what are those responsibility and rights? Let's discuss. It talks about first one will be be knowledgeable about company operations. Okay, so it says that the shareholder should be family shareholder should be more knowledgeable about the company operation, how the company runs, about the products, services, location, top management, industry, regulations, performance, everything what is needed. Okay, about the company you should be aware. Okay, everything. Okay, it's not like that I'm a uh, family member, I'm a shareholder that I don't require to know about much more. No, no, you should be aware about everything. You should be very knowledgeable about the company operations. Okay, this is the responsibility of every family shareholder, rights and the family responsible shareholder. Next, have information about basic finance and be able to read and ask questions about the income statement and balance sheet of the company. So what it says, as a shareholder of the family business, as a shareholder, you should have some basic knowledge about the finances. You should ask questions because there is a shareholders meeting, everything. You should ask questions like how the company is doing, about the financial statements, very important, like the profit and loss account as well as the balance sheet. You have to look at those things and you have to find out how the things are performing. You have to compare between previous 2 years with the present one, whether things have been better or bad. A lot of things you should ask questions, because then the things will be proper. Because when people ask questions and they question, then the management, the people who are running the show will be serious about it. Otherwise they might take it, many cases they might nobody's asking us, nobody's bothered about how we are doing, so they may not be serious, taking up the things. Okay, so this is one thing they have to remember as a shareholder, because they have the responsibility and rights, okay, to ask questions to the management team. Okay, so next you could see there is a attend shareholders meeting, because shareholders meeting is held. When the shareholders meeting is held, your responsibility is to attend. Because why you have to attend? Because you are going to listen to the there and you're going to raise the questions. Okay, so it's better advised to be aware about how the company is operating, how the things have changed, what are developments happen. So it is very important, like the shareholders have the responsibility and to the right to attend the shareholders meeting. Then understand board members qualification and participate in screening of the board members. So shareholders, I said no, so you could see there here in the previous ownership, shareholders are there. Shareholders have been represented by board of directors. So board of directors have been appointed by the shareholders. They are representative. So that's the reason. Understand the board members' qualification, their background, okay, and be a part of while you select the board members. Because a team and board member is represented by a chairman. Okay, board of directors team will have one chairman. He will be heading the team. So please be aware when you appoint what kind of board of director you are going to appoint. What is his background? What is his qualification? What are his abilities? What is the what is the what kind of team I need to have? In the as a board of directors. Okay, will be representing the whole shareholders. With the management. They'll be taking the interest. So all those need to be considered. So it comes under understand board of members qualification while you appoint them. Next, you look at the constructively question management and offer suggestion to the management. Okay, shareholders have the rights. They can obviously, through board of directors, can question the management who are running the show. They can ask like, why you are doing this? Why did you go with this project? Okay, what was the reason? Any which is related to business, they can ask the question at the management. What made them to go with that things or changes? And any suggestions you feel, you can suggest to the top management. You must be having very best of ideas, or you might be having a lot of good suggestions with keeping in the interest of the business. So always, okay, you can the shareholders can give suggestions to the management. Okay, then publicly support management decisions. So the shareholders should support the management decisions. If shareholders do not support a good decision, then management may not be able to take up that. Okay, and that might affect the company's performance. So it's always better if there is a good decision which is the top management is thinking about, then the shareholder should support publicly, and then things will be fine. It says that keep appropriate company information in strict confidence and recognize the shareholders are not entitled to all company information on demand. One thing the shareholders need to be aware that they have to keep the things secret. Not everything which has been discussed with the shareholders need to be revealed. That's not good. If you reveal or leak the very good information, it might be an advantage for the competitor, or due to that reason, the company might lose the certain benefits or profits, and the shareholders should be aware that they are not uh, entitled to all the information, okay, on demand. Whatever the shareholders ask, it doesn't mean that everything need to be revealed by the top management. No, they are not entitled for everything, because certain things they have to keep in a secret, keeping in the interest of the business. So this the shareholder should be aware. Okay, this is the responsibility of the shareholder, not that you go on questioning everything. Next, where possible and useful, generate business leads. So it talks about something like as a shareholder, you have the responsibility, like you have a good links, you have a good connectivity, or you have the that power. So whenever you can play a role, please play that role and try to give the leads, means more opportunities for the business. Example, I know one certain one project which is coming up. I came to know there is a one tender is there, or some new business opportunity is there right now. Okay, please advise that. Please give that those ideas to the management so that they will take up that. They will continue that. Wherever there is support you require, please give it that. Okay. So if there are certain clients who are waiting, okay, to be serviced, or there are few clients you are aware, so you can get them to your business. Okay, say that, okay, please come to us, we'll provide you service. That's how leads, business leads and all, customer space. So wherever in your as a shareholders level you could able to get the business leads, you have to give it to the company, so that those business leads will be benefit to the company as well as the generate a revenue for the company. Try and provide additional investment capital whenever is possible. If it is in the possible to add on investment, give more investment or do more invest capital, you can invest in the company, please do it. Okay, that is the responsibility and the rights of the shareholders in the family business. Okay, so please, in this you could see that shareholders are the owners. Okay, so in that case they will be asking, so they have these kind of rights and responsibilities. So please remember, because it doesn't mean that the business is owned by the family, now it's been public limited, it's been listed, now shareholders are there, and shareholders should not think that we do not have rights, only the major stake held by the family member, they only man. No, no, no. Actually, shareholders have the power. They have certain rules, rights and responsibilities. Okay, this is what we have discussed so far. It's about rights and responsibilities. Okay, next, this topic which talks about what are the expectations of a family shareholders. Example, we are discussing about shareholders only now. Okay, what is the expectation of the shareholders from the managers of the business? Who was managing? Like there is one team which is managing the company. which is running the company. But what are the expectations of the shareholders from those managers who are running the? Okay, so these are the expectations they keep from the management of the organization or the business. So look at here, the timely information on company strategy, important organizational changes, and company basic financial status before information being released to a general public. So what you could say that this kind of expectation the shareholders can keep is that before our management, the company team discloses any information to the public, they should first inform us. Okay, so what are any changes have been done in the company, any major changes, any new strategy has been implemented, or any organizational changes they are doing it. So that need to be informed. They expect, shareholders expect that need to be informed to us. Okay, that is one expectations they keep from the family, shareholders from the managers of the business. Second, openness by company board and management to shareholders on the above mentioned information. There should be openness by the company team. Okay, towards the shareholders that all the information they are going to clearly reveal, not hide. Okay, only half information give it, rest all you keep it secret. That should not be done. Whichever is relevant, that need to be revealed to us. Okay, and then ability to participate in the election of the board members. Okay, they should be allowed to participate while selecting the board members, because shareholders are the people who are selecting, because they are the people who board of directors are representative. So it's very important that they should be ability to participate in the election of the board of members. Fair policies that protect shareholders interest but also require the cooperation and risk taking. So this is one more expectation from the shareholders is that the company should take fair policies. Okay, fair policy means good policies which protect the interest of the shareholders. So at the end of the day, you should benefit the shareholders and you should not harm them. Okay, those kind of fair and good rules and policies they need to take it up. Okay, so that's one what expectation from the family shareholders. Then acceptance economic performance by the company, including reasonable dividends and capital gains. Another expectation from the shareholders is that our company should do good profits, we should generate good revenue, and company should pay us good dividend, and our capital, should our investment should give better returns. So these are the expectations are there, okay, by the shareholders towards the company management. Obviously, example, I would say that if you are buying a share, okay, you bought a few thousand shares from a particular company. What do you expect as a shareholder? You expect as a shareholder is that this company should make good profit. You should the management should manage well, okay, and they should run the very good show. And end of the day, when the company makes profit, good profits, so they should pay us dividend out of the profit. They should share some profits with us, and our shares prices should go up, because if the company performance is good, obviously the valuation of the share prices moves up. If positive news, everything is good, there is a high demand. Demand will be there particular shares, because the share prices will go up. So those benefits, what is the return I'm getting, okay, on my shares? Okay, so it's all important. Those things the shareholders expect from the family business. Okay, so anybody would like to ask the questions on this, you can ask me. Okay, next topic is on history of the family business. So you see, there are two ways you can consider it. Like history of the family business, you are going to study about when, in example, in India or in the globally. So how come when the family business originated? Okay, so it's all like it's quite, you have to go back and see that when the family business 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Okay, when the family. So if you look at history of the Tata, Birlas, and all those things, they have one history. Okay, so the few hundred, 100 years ago, they set up their business. Over the years, they've grown. They've become a very conglomerate company. Under the same group, there are hundreds of companies now. Separate companies have incorporated. So you could see that each company has its own history. Okay, so it's nothing but history of the family business we are going to discuss here. Okay, it says about refers to reason why business came into existence, vision and mission of the company, people contributed towards the success of the business, and how this business has contributed to the society and the country as a whole. So all those things, tell you about the history of the family business. Okay, so if I say that please go and try to find out family business history, so you can go and find out. There are information available. There are plenty of information available in the public domain. You can go about digging out the history of the Tata Group. Okay, Jamshedji Tata, who started in the early 19th century. So you can go and Birlas when they started, when the Ambani's business started, when the Palanji's business started, when the Bajaj Group business started. So you could go back and look at the history of the business, family business. Okay, so it gives you about a detailed information: who started it, how they started, what was their mission, how many people involved, who were the biggest contributor to that success of the business, how this business evolved over the years, how many business they have started, and who is managing those businesses, who are the family members who are managing those businesses. Okay, and success stories, challenges they face, everything. What is the contribution to the society they have done through that business, everything. So it's about the history of the family business. Okay, this is one way. Another way, if you want that how the family business originated, then you have to go another way. You have to try to find out which is the first family business which is incorporated, how many years ago. That all those things are another thing. Okay, so here let's look at why reasons to create history of the family business. Why a family business need to keep track of document, need to document all their history. Okay, why it is so important to document the things? Because so reasons to create history of the family business. Why we have to maintain the history of the family business? Why we have to document everything? Why we have to record the things? Okay, so let's discuss few points. So it's first one, you look at founder's vision and vision. Okay, it talks about like reasons why business came into existence. Okay, so and who took up the leadership, and what was the insight about the founder, what he planned, what was his vision, what was his mission, why did he take up, why does he take up that business, why does he started that, what was the reason behind it, what made him to go about at long ago, and it's success story. Okay, so all those things, because that gives you clarity, and that makes the other person, the succession planning, somebody who next who is going to take up, okay, will be aware. And after example, you take the history of the Tata, and after 100 years, if you go and you read now, so you will come to know okay, how they started, which company they started first, and how that company has paved the way for other companies. you know all those things, it gives you a motivation to the people who are presently working, and it's going to be as a guiding lamp, because the founders vision, mission, their dreams, you can carry forward the present, the successors or the present people who are managing, you can get inspiration from that. You can carry on that legacy which has been uh, founded by the founders legacy, you can carry forward. So that's one advantage of that. Next is historical accuracy. Let's talk about like accuracy. Without valid information about family business, customers, employees of business may be biased by wrong information to other sources about the purpose of business and its contribution towards society. To avoid these problems, details of the business should be documented on a timely basis. Why it is very important to document the history of the family business is that if you are documented everything, so real data will be available. Genuine data, the accuracy of the data will be maintained, so that whenever you want to refer, your employees or anybody would like to refer your history can go back and refer. Otherwise, what happens if you are not kept?